First off, thank you for taking some time. I'm honored to get to spend some time with you. I mean, fabulous actor, singer, songwriter. You speak 5 languages. I'm a little intimidated.
Don't be.
Thank you for being here. And for those who just tuned in, I'm Rustin Rose with Metal Nation, and we are joined today, of course, by Netta Laurenne, and of course, I probably butchered that, of Smackbound. So how do you pronounce it, being over there in Finland?
Well, in Finnish, it's Netta Laurenne.
Netta Laurenne. That sounds more Italian. I'm screwing that up still.
Yeah, but it's kind of okay to say Netta Laurenne. Yeah, it's a lot easier for the tongue. You know, it's changing the phonics totally if you try to speak it in Finnish. Even I can't do it while I'm speaking English. I have to kind of stop and then say my name and then start English again.
Well, and you speak 5 languages, so good grief. But so let's talk about the album. 2020 has finally been released. Thank you, COVID, for pushing that back as far as you did. This has been released in the midst of one of the strangest periods in our lifetime. And I know the title sort of refers to vision and truth, but it really seems to hold multiple meanings right now.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it's interesting how it even became so much more than it was now, and it's kind of emphasizing the 2020 vision idea, because all of us can now be retrospective to what has happened this year, and so it really amplifies the meaning. Yeah,
absolutely. So let's get the generic question out of the way first, because with a new band, everybody always wants to know, and I've literally watched 5 or 6 interviews that you've done, and I haven't seen it anywhere. Where did the band name itself come from? Was it just like pulled from a hat, or is there some meaning behind it? Or
there's the meaning is to be like tabula rasa. So we tried to come up with a name that doesn't have a meaning in itself. So we didn't want it to be like Smackdown or
Right.
anything like that, but we wanted it to remind us about several things. But because we had a funny coincidence, first we had a different name for the band, but as I was trying to get the rights to the name, I got contacted from the US stating that someone has the trademark for pillows and stuff like that, like decoration, home decoration. So we ended up negotiating, and we had a chance to stick with that name for the band and the music, but we would have had a problem with the merchandise.
Gotcha.
So I decided to change the name, and I had a lot of sleepless nights because of this matter. And I was thinking about smack, because I like it's a very strong strong word in itself, but I said that it's too short, and there has to be something that says that there's kind of destiny into it. And during, I don't know, 4 a.m., I just kind of had this vision of smack and bound combined. It's like Smackbound. So it doesn't mean anything, but for me, it means kind of, it holds this destiny in it, because it's bound to happen. You know, you're bound to get smacked, basically.
We're in your face, and you're tied to it forever now. So
yeah, yes.
Well, and I imagine, given the nature of your creativity and all the things that you've sort of dabbled in, you got your fingers in, that you're one of those type A personalities that has a lot of sleepless nights thinking about details and everything like that anyway.
Yes, we can talk about severe insomnia. Truly.
Well,
yeah, that's me.
2020 has been in the stages of developing for like 5 years now. How does it feel to finally have it out there so everyone can hear the finished project?
I don't even know. I feel I'm so happy that it's finally out. It's been a long birth to that album, but now I'm really relieved to kind of let it into the world and for it to, you know, stand on its own. So
Right.
I'm just waiting for it to kind of work its magic and find the people who need and want the music the most.
And for anybody who's been paying attention, you guys released several singles, videos leading up to the release of the album that really showcase the diversity of your sound. Was it difficult deciding which songs to include, which to hold back, and how to do like the sequencing for the album continuity? Because I know there's way more than 10 tracks written for this in the process leading up to 5 years. So it had to be hard deciding what to choose, what order to put it in.
Yeah, it was, but in a way, we had a clear mindset about what is important and how to pick the songs. And the main thing was that it has to hold some kind of energy in it. So it has to be, the energy has to be strong, and it has to be, it has to kind of come through the song to the listener. And if a song was, you know, we had a lot of great songs, but if it didn't have this living energy in it, we just tossed it. So this was like, it's like killing your in a way your child. So we had to be really strict about, like, does it move us? If it doesn't move us, it's not going to move anyone. If it's dead, you can't, you know, you can't make it more alive with anything. No matter how good you play or sing, it's if the song is dead, it's dead. So this was the main thing that we were focusing on when we were choosing the songs.
Right.
And then it was actually very difficult to get them, because of the versatility of the album and the songs. It was kind of difficult to put it in the album stage. So which is the, where it would run, like that was like, where do you put run? That was one thing to tackle. And actually I did this decision way too late. Well, it was soon enough, but very late in the process, that I was listening to the ready-made master, and it was already sent to the label, and it was in the press. So you can say that it was in the press. And I was listening to it while I was preparing for some dinner with friends, and I was listening through the album like I've had, you know, sleepless nights all over again, like thousands of them, and trying to decide the track list of the album. And then all of a sudden I felt like, oh my God, this song is wrong. Like, this shouldn't be here. And I didn't have any time to react. I didn't call the guys or anything. I just sent an email to the label, like, stop the press. The album is changing. And they were like, oh my God, this girl is difficult. But then again, I realized that there was something that happened in the energy. So I had to replace one song with another, and it was a good decision. So it was really, but I'm really intuitive that way. So I really listen to how I feel.
Right.
So all of a sudden I realized that, oh my God, we have a wrong song in here. And by changing that one song, the whole album became better.
Yeah, flow and continuity is so important to music and albums. And a lot of people don't think about it anymore because we become so ADHD, you know, short attention spans. Everybody focuses on the single, not so much listening to the whole album. But having listened to the whole album several times, there really is a fantastic continuity and diversity. And getting back to sort of what you said, all the songs are in some way your children. But I got to imagine one or two on there are maybe a little bit closer to you. I mean, I know when I listen to songs like The Game and Close to Sober, there's a lot of raw emotiveness going on there. And that pulls you away from some of the energy you were talking about, but it's more of an emotional energy. Which
Yeah.
which songs on the album really spoke to you the most?
Well, maybe the ones that you you just said. Yeah, the game is my, in a way, if I can say favorite. That's, you can't say that it's a favorite, but it is such a personal song for me. I struggled a lot with the lyrics. I wanted to make them exactly like, I wanted to make them perfect, and it was for that reason I had difficulties to put it in, because I couldn't let it down, the song. I wasn't ready with it, and the whole story with the game was that I had to fight for it because the guys didn't like the song, and when it was in demo stage, so everybody said like, yeah, let's toss it. And I was like, no way, like, it's the best song. Because I heard it ready, and the guys were listening to the demo. Like, it's, there's sometimes the vision is not there. You can't hear it if you can't kind of see it in inside yourself. So I was like, I'm not going to sing anything to this album if the game is out of the album. So the guy said like, okay, let's, if you want it there, so we will have it there. And then I wrote the lyrics to it and sang it, and then they heard it again and they were like, oh my God, this is, they kind of got it. It became alive in a way. But I felt it from the beginning that it was very, like, it was for me a very special song. So because of the story, and also my personal story in it, I really feel like it's the most precious for me.
Right.
But of course, it's also Close to Sober. It has the same kind of emotional. I like kind of, because I'm a kind of a ocean girl, so I like these deep feelings and deep, maybe it's sorrow, or it's something similar to, I like to think of the pain and these things. So they are, because of this emotionality, they are really dear to me. But I also love Wall of Silence because I really like the energy. I really like what I'm saying there. And then also Date with the Devil was fun to do because it's a really groovy, and I think it has a really on-point lyrics to the grooviness that it has. So I think these are the favorites.
Well, even on the more high energy songs, there's still sort of a visceral rawness to it. And I think that speaks to not just the lyrical content, but the honesty and truth in your delivery of the performances and everything. So that's what I took away from it. But
Thank you.
when you first started putting this together, before you even pulled Timu and Rolf and the guys in, you had written, I think, like 3 tracks yourself just to sort of put out there as demos and see, do we have a project here? Did any of those 3 songs end up making the cut for the album, or did they sort of get pushed by the wayside as you guys wrote more stuff?
There are excellent songs. I tried to pick more songs that we did together just to make the band more tight. But Those Who Burn is one of the songs. It's the first song ever written to Smackbound.
Nice. So, and you guys spent, everybody knows you sort of did the Run for Cover project once you got the band together, went out and did a lot of shows and performed a lot of cover songs and everything. How did that gelling together? I mean, I know you guys sort of did it to see if you guys gelled as a band. You got to spend a lot of time together. But how did doing that impact your creative and writing process for this album?
That's a good question. I don't know if it drastically changed anything in the creative process, because the creative process in itself was new to us because we hadn't been writing songs together, us band. So it was a new thing, but of course it made us feel, because we became very close while touring with Run for Cover, and we got to see the different sides of every one of us, and we got to see what's the dynamics of the band. It made it a lot more easier to start writing because we already knew how everybody is
Right.
reacting and behaving in the group when you have stress, when you're tired, you know. So we knew kind of, so we were, I think we were more free to do whatever we wanted. And also, of course, when we were doing Run for Cover gigs, like these classic big hits of 70s, 80s, 90s, we realized like what are our favorite songs to play and why. So with what songs do we have most fun with?
Right.
And of course that might affect it a bit, like the songwriting itself, even though we don't know it or acknowledge it that way, but I suppose it did got something to do with it. And maybe we of course we put in, you know, the favorite things about 80s. You can hear them in the album, but they're mixed with everything else we love. You know, I love Leonard Cohen, so you can probably hear him as well.
Yeah, there was so much stuff, so much variety and diversity in the various different songs. I mean, I know you guys sort of took a metal base, but there's like rhythm and blues and soul and just all sorts of stuff mixed in there, some pop elements and everything. So it's very accessible, but there's still that heavy edge. It must have been a little bit harder for the guys who are used to heavier stuff to soften it up a little bit. But I've also noticed a lot of the guys that play the really extreme metal, they have these side projects where they're playing more accessible stuff that they grew up on and they love. So I think this is sort of a nice magical way to capture all of that. But it segues nicely into another thought I had. It's like most new bands come out, especially if they're on Frontiers, they always try and slide in at least one cover for the hopes that at least, if nothing else, that'll get people's attention. You guys did run for cover, but you guys chose not to put any covers on the album. And just as well, you have 10 excellent tracks there. Was that a purposeful decision to not put any covers on your debut album?
Yes. Yes, we did discuss about it and made this decision knowing how it might hurt us at this point, because we've done Run for Cover and we really wanted to put out our own songs because we believed in the songs and we felt like we don't have to put in a cover. Like, we're strong enough without the covers. But we haven't, we might have a cover on the next album.
Right.
So we haven't said no, we just said no on this particular album because we know that a lot of people use this technique to put a cover out on the first album, and we really felt that it might mix things up.
Right.
And we really felt like we have a lot of great songs and we felt that the album will be solid by its own entity without any covers that, you know, might be like a glued on the surface. So yeah, it was a decision we made together. We talked about what covers we would do, and we have our favorites, and we might do them later. But and we have also actually recorded drums for a few covers.
Nice.
For the album, but we hold them back.
Right.
So,
I think that was a really wise decision because and I don't know if you read the review I wrote. I love Frontiers, but he has a tendency to throw a lot of projects together and see what sticks. He just throws to the wall. Is this good? Is it not good? Will it sell? And so I'm always skeptical when I get a lot of stuff from him. So, and I said in the review when I got yours, I'm like, okay, we've got an actor fronting the band. This is another one of the Frontiers projects. How good can this possibly be? And you guys literally won me over before I got through the first couple of tracks. I'm like, holy hell, she can sing. The songs are good. The melodies are there. The hooks are there. And it's not just, oh, here's one or two good tracks and a bunch of filler. It is solid from beginning to end. It's literally almost like two mini albums. We talked about the continuity. It's like you've got this first 5 tracks that sort of go through this energy and the ballad stuff, and then it's almost like when you get to Trouble, it starts all over again with that sort of high energy, and it's like two sides of a record actually. So if you get the vinyl,
Yeah.
But this all started with you. I mean, you've been working on this from the beginning for like 5+ years, not even before that, obviously, because this has been a passion for you. How much through this process of putting the band together, writing the songs on your own, writing them with the other guys, getting the record done, how much have you grown as a person, a songwriter, a performer?
Gosh. I don't know. I think I'm a train wreck. No. No, I think I don't know. Probably a lot. Probably a lot. It's difficult to say because you can't only look back on this project influencing me as a person. You have to counting everything, also everything else that happens in the life at the same time. So of course in 5 years a lot of things have made a change in me, and I have grown a lot. But maybe the main thing is I've become more sure about trusting how I feel, so I can make the decisions faster, and I can make the decisions alone. I mean, like, I'm the only one that has to stand for those decisions. I can really trust myself in my decisions, so that I don't need to have anyone having my back on those decisions, as long as I'm the one making them. Of course, but in this project where basically it's my baby, then of course I talk to everyone concerned, the label and the band, but the band also trusts that I have the vision, and they know it, that I'm really listening very hard to everything, and I'm trying to kind of follow my feeling, and they trust that. And also the label Frontiers have learned fast that that they have to trust it too. So I'm able to say no to things that feel wrong, even though someone says that it might be a good thing, like you should do a cover. I can say like no. And like they said from the game music video, the feedback was like, you should start singing at some point. You should sing. And I was like, yeah, thanks, no. Because I felt it's so hard that I know that it's more usual, to sing, but I really felt that it would take away something. I wanted to be that raw, and if I would have started singing, it would have been breaking the one wall with the listener, and then it would be a performance.
Right.
So I wanted the viewers and listeners to have the chance to kind of see me secretly, like they were peeking, like it's peeking. Yeah. So I wanted them in on a very personal feeling, and that would have been destroyed with me singing. So these decisions I trust. So it has made me more faster and more trusting towards how I feel, like that it's the right decision to make.
Well, and that was a nice segue too. I was going to mention it earlier. You talk about building the trust with the guys, and we talk about the rawness and the honesty. All of that stuff comes together with that game video. I mean, first, I don't know how you got the guys to all strip down and cover themselves in clay. I mean, you're a performance artist and actor and everything. You're more used to that stuff. But to just stand there silently covered in this clay, being vulnerable and naked to the world for 4 or 5 minutes while the camera just circles around, and it is very powerful. And I agree with you. If you just started singing it, it would have stolen some of that emotional connection with the listener and the viewer. You know, you are sort of singing with your expressions and the lack of the voice and the tears and everything else. It's a very stoic process, and I think you guys hit it out of the park with that video. I mean, all the videos are fun and good, but that one really is sort of a little masterpiece in and of itself.
Thank you, thank you. It's very intimate, so I really wanted to, and I had this vision for years to use this this clay and these kind of rock statues. And this was when we decided that the game will be a single. I said, Doug, I know what the video will be about. But I didn't tell the guys until the previous evening that I just sent a text saying, like, is it okay for you that we're all naked? So they couldn't run anymore. So it was because it was the next morning we had the shoes. So, you know, I said, like, we don't have the budget to reschedule. So, but they are always in, like, they are very in with everything, like with the dancing with Drive It Like You Stole It. Like I said, like, we have to, I felt like Drive It Like You Stole It is so positive and self-empowering song that we have to do something silly, like we can laugh
Right.
to each other, you know, and to ourselves. We can laugh because we're shitty dancers. Like, and that's the whole thing is, like, it's kind of corny, the whole dance moves. It's supposed to be just fun and, you know, not trying to look cooler than you actually look, and you don't look.
Drive It Like You Stole It.
Yeah, it's like, I don't really know this shit, but I love it. It feels good, so that's the point. And here it was also, the game was, it was actually very beautiful. We were laughing because we couldn't put the clay on ourselves. We had to clay each other. So
Right.
it was like taking turns, and we were laughing like, this is weird. But once we got in front of the camera, it became something very, very beautiful and humble. Everything became silent in a way that we were standing, because it was very, it was a weird feeling and a beautiful feeling to stand there with our backs to each other. So we didn't even see each other. We felt each other's backs.
Right.
So it was something magical happening, the silence. And then we just put the song running, it was playing, and we started shooting. And it was very, very humbling thing to go through. And the whole filming was like my face, it's just one take.
Mm-hmm.
So everything that happens in real time to the song. So I've just kind of sang it through with my feelings. So it's just one take, and nothing's moved from its original position. When the tears fall, they actually fell when we were filming. So
yeah, simple is oftentimes better, and you guys really captured magic there. All right, so last question before we get out of here. Obviously, your home base is there at Sonic Pump Studios. You're married to Nino, so you've got your studio right there in your own place. And you've been working on this for 5 years. How hard is it, especially for an A-type personality like you, focused on details? How hard was it for you not to overwork the songs, to know when to go, I'm done with this, I'll leave it alone?
That's it is hard, but I'm in the search of the truth and the rawness. So I have to kind of see when's the right time to stop with something. And that's why it's very important to have people that you can delegate things to. Like, if you would continue with, you know, if you'd mix your own songs or something, you would totally destroy everything. That's my opinion, because you have to give it out to someone who can hear it differently. But that's just kind of something of a mental struggle to just talk to yourself like you have to really give it up. Like it's as ready as it can be, and nothing really is going to, you know, happen anymore to the song. So it's just kind of getting yourself caught in the fact that you are not able to let something go, and then once you realize that, you are able to let go. But you have to kind of be mirroring yourself all the time, like, what are you doing? Is this really something that needs to be fixed, or are you just
Well, and when you have, that's a hard thing when you have the studio right there and have access to it, like a lot of bands don't. You could overwork it and do too much with it, but you have to know when to kick it out of the nest. Otherwise, you're going to have a grown man baby who doesn't know for a song.
Exactly.
The mama's boy song. So.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing with everything, like lyrics. When are you ready? Because you know that you can try to perfect them, you know, for the whole life. Like you are never gonna be ready with the lyrics. Like I can still change something. Well, yeah, you can, but yeah, that's something. I don't know how to answer that in a way that there's no answer. There's no right answer. You just have to stop yourself from doing things.
It's got to be an innate thing where you understand. All right, perfect. Netta, thanks so much for taking some time to chat about the album and everything else. I could keep you here for another half hour. I got so many questions, but we got to let you get back to the real world. Stay safe out there. We look forward to seeing you live. And I'm looking forward to the second album already, because I know there's still a ton of songs you've already got in your pocket, and you'll write more. So, and if they're half as good as the stuff you guys put on this debut album, I think we are going to be around for a while. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Okay. Talk to you and see you hopefully soon at some gig somewhere.
Take care.
Thanks.